What's up, everybody? Carlton Flowers with the Go Political Channel, podcast number 2. It's been a long time since I made a podcast. I think it was last June. And I just haven't figured out this whole podcasting thing. I'm trying to figure out all of the details and mechanics of how the YouTube podcast platform works so I can get to talking and we can get to chatting. And I really want to get good at this so we can talk every day about the breaking news. Okay? That is the goal, because there are so many things that I want to hear what your thoughts are. I want to hear from people back in Chicago, where I was born, from the black community, from the Hispanic community, the white community. I want to hear from people in Missouri, people in Detroit, Michigan. I want to hear from people around the world. I've got a friend that we talk about crypto, and he's from Russia, of all places. And so throughout the whole time period of the Russia-Ukraine war, we've been the closest of friends. I've got Arab friends, I've got Jewish friends, and we talk all the time. So I want to know what people think about all these topics that we're going to be discussing. And today, I really need to know what you're thinking. And I want you to sound off about what I'm about to talk about, and that would be immigration. So I had to cut the music on that. That was like a record scratch moment. So immigration, deportation, Donald Trump, Barack Obama. We're going to cover the ICE raids, Tom Homan, and how this was one of the deciding factors in the 2024 November election. And then I'm going to ask you some specific questions, and I want you to give me your thoughts and your opinion. So right now, of course, in breaking news, we have protests going on. I believe it was San Francisco, and then also somewhere in not Nevada, New Mexico. Was it New Mexico or Arizona? Somewhere else. Couple places there are big protests going on where people are participating from various backgrounds. There's people from other countries, mainly South American countries, and then also some U.S. citizens. So what I noticed was that there were people in this raucous protest. It was not peaceful. They were tearing up. They were causing a mass disturbance, blocking traffic, marching down the highways, stealing a police car and doing donuts, crazy things like that. But while the protest is going on, of course, you had people from Mexico that were waving the Mexican flag. You had people from Venezuela that were waving the Venezuelan flag. You had people from Chile that were waving the Chilean flag while protesting about their right to stay here illegally in the United States. So I thought that was odd. You're saying, I want to be here in the United States because this is the greatest country in the world, but you're waving a flag of Chile, the country you left, because it's unlivable. So then why are you waving the flag in protest? If you thought that this protest was going to do any good, why weren't you waving American flags? That would have made more sense to me. I mean, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. But that brings me to the general question. The big question that I have is, can anyone present an argument that would justify the reasoning for the people that are against the mass deportation or even deportation of just criminals? All right. Can anyone present an argument? And I'm going to talk a little bit, tell you what I think, and set you up to try to argue against this. And maybe we'll see if we end up at a point where I say, oh, I hadn't considered that. Because right now, I can't find one logical, viable argument that would justify this nonsense. Here's the deal. So the United States is a sovereign nation. In order to be a citizen, you must abide by certain rules. Forget the fact that the white man came to this country and took it away from the natives. Well, 400 years later, here we are, and we have laws and rules, and there's all sorts of people that are here, and we don't have an open border. So, in my opinion, an open border means that anyone with any background can come here and do things like what the young man did who ended the life of Laken Riley, all right? Or people can come here that are involved in human trafficking and mishandling of children or pushing drugs over the border. They can do whatever they want, all right? And they can live off the fat of the land, not pay any taxes, and if they go to the hospital, they get all their medical care covered for free. Okay, so that's an illegal to me. An undocumented illegal immigrant is one who doesn't come to this country abiding by the rules that were set forth for those who want to be here and not in their home country. Now, Barack Obama, President Obama, was once called the deporter-in-chief. He's the king of all presidents when it comes to deporting illegal aliens. And he had very strong words about people coming in this country undocumented, where he basically said, if you don't register, get yourself a visa or a green card, or, come through the immigration office, then you're going to get deported. And he was very adamant about that. And he deported lots of people because of the threat of those that have criminal backgrounds coming to live here. And so right now, with those who support undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants, how can you tell the difference between someone that has a mile-long rap sheet, is a jailbreak, is a con artist, is one that abuses young people or takes advantage of women? How can you tell the difference between them and someone who is sincere? Because what I've noticed is that the sincere people, like my son's best friend and his parents, he's a med school student and his parents are from India. When they came over here, they went through the port of entry. They applied before they even came. They applied to be here and they got documented. And they were able to stay here for a period of time. And then when their visas ran out, they had to go home to India for 6 months while the son, Vishwa, was still here, and then come back again. And so they all have to fill out paperwork, pay for attorneys. They've spent thousands and thousands of dollars to be here. And then they're scratching their heads wondering, why is it that mainly liberal Democrats push for the rights of people to be here illegally? So they're thinking, all right, they're making us pay thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, making us go home for periods of time. But then you're turning around, you're defending the people that get here for free and get free everything. Why do we have rules if they are only to be broken? And doesn't it make sense for safety's sake to have a set of rules concerning people coming in from other countries? So then one argument that I often hear is, well, our vegetable prices will go up. They're going to go up exponentially because we need them fruit pickers and lettuce head pickers out there from other countries. We need those illegals here to do that work because nobody here is going to do it. Okay, so what you're basically saying is that you are a proponent of human exploitation, slave labor, because you got to know that those people that are providing you with cheap vegetables in the grocery store are not being paid anywhere near minimum wage. So you're telling me as a U.S. citizen making above minimum wage that it's okay to exploit people from other countries that are in bad situations, and that it's all right for them to be paid well below minimum wage, slave labor, because you want cheap vegetables in the grocery store? I mean, I hear that excuse so many times, that it's all right to have modern day slavery. It's okay for prices, to fight inflation, right? I don't buy that argument. And so they say that all these jobs that Americans aren't willing to do, we need illegals. Why do you need illegals? Why don't you bring people in here and say, okay, we're going to fingerprint you. We're going to do a background check. We're going to find out if you have a criminal record in your country of origin so that we can protect the people who are here so you don't have a Laken Riley incident. And then we'll let you work. But we are believers in humanity and think that you should be paid the federal minimum wage. That seems like the humanitarian thing to do. But for whatever reason, there are liberals who think it's all right to just let these people come here and work for slave wages. There's another thing that goes on, and it's somewhat human trafficking. It's like indentured servitude. There are people who come over here and make an agreement that they have to work so many years for a company before they get their freedom, and they're illegal. They're undocumented. So you're for that? You're fighting for that? I don't find one argument in favor of letting someone come to this country with no documentation whatsoever, where they get free everything. Like, what the heck is that psychotic mayor of Chicago even thinking when he says that Chicago's a sanctuary city, so we're going to hoard all these illegal aliens, undocumented people, we don't know any backgrounds, know nothing, but we're going to give them room and board free. We're going to give them food free. We're going to let them skirt the requirements to get driver's licenses. We're going to slide them business licenses to cook food out in the streets. We're going to even let them work for the police force and help to get them in. All at taxpayer expense. Meanwhile, he tells the residents of Chicago, I'm going to raise your taxes after promising not to do it. So he raises their property taxes to pay for it. So he spent $500 million to let people come in here to this country that have no background checks, no documentation, breaking the law, right? And then he's going to take the residents' money out of their pocket and hand it over to these illegals. What sense does that make? What sense does that make? And see, this is why you have the Flip Chicago Red group that popped up in the south side of Chicago, where I grew up, where I was born, where they're saying, we're sick of it. We're sick of the mayor of Chicago telling the black community, we don't have money to fix your schools. We don't have money for your parks. We don't have money for your boys and girls clubs, your after school programs. Sorry. But then you're handing $500 million to the illegals and then raising our taxes. That's why they're protesting. And so some people think it's racist to be against illegal aliens. You can't even call them that. They say that if you are against allowing undocumented immigrants, you're racist. Well, I think it's racist if you are for that. If you are for allowing illegal aliens to come to the United States and get all this free stuff, you're a racist because it's hurting the black community more than any other community. That's right. I said it. So if you think you're a bleeding heart liberal Democrat, and I'm not bashing Democrats, there's liberal Republicans who are doing this too, that are for the indentured servitude and getting this cheap labor. Look at the corporations like Tyson Foods that fired all those people and then turns around and says, we're going to help people that are seeking refuge. Yeah, immigrants. Yeah. And they hire a bunch of undocumented immigrants. We got them right here in where I live. Hitachi, the plant across the river that makes the Transformers. There's a bunch of illegals that were working there for less than minimum wage, doing housekeeping jobs while staying in our hotels for free, while Biden was pouring in, importing all of these illegals. Okay, but I digress. So if you are pro undocumented immigrants getting free health care, free room and board, free jobs, getting driver's licenses, knowing you can't drive and you wouldn't normally pass, if you're for all that, you're the racist because you're hurting black people. You're hurting the black community of Chicago. So it's interesting that Brandon Johnson, the incompetent joke of a mayor. You think Lori Lightfoot was bad? No, Brandon Johnson took it to a whole new level. I respect Lori Lightfoot after what I'm seeing Brandon Johnson doing. So here he comes, and he sinks the city of Chicago to a deficit of $1.2 billion. So nearly half of that was handed over to two companies, two contractors that provide services so that they can house and place all these illegals. Over $500 million. I don't know. The man's got a 13% approval rating. I do appreciate him for one thing, that he is a well-spoken black man, very articulate, and doesn't make us look like complete idiots. I do appreciate Brandon Johnson for his vernacular. Very articulate man. But I disagree with practically all of his policies. And I think that he hurts the black community more than any other race. We hurt ourselves. So I'd like to hear from someone who thinks that they are for undocumented immigrants, but they're not a racist. Tell me about how you're not against the black community while being for undocumented immigrants. Let me know. And then tell me how you're for undocumented immigrants and at the same time, you don't respect those that abide by the rules. Why are the laws there? It seems like you have two types of people. Those who abide by laws and rules that come here and, they get, held to task, right? And then you have the ones that sneak in and hide. The rules aren't for them. Okay. But then the Democrats, the liberals, want to hide those people so they can skirt the law, while the other people that are doing it the right way are paying tens of thousands of dollars and aren't living off our dime as taxpayers. I don't get that. So if you want undocumented immigrants so bad, why don't all of you liberal people that are for that get together and then go down to Mexico and build you a big hotel and you pay for it? Make a sanctuary city in Mexico. And instead of me paying for it out of my taxes, you guys pay for it. Pay for their food, pay for their hotel, let them live for free, give them a hospital right next door, give them tickets so they can travel the world. Do whatever you want for them. You can go down there and wait on them hand and foot and bring them room service. Do whatever you want, but don't do it from my tax money. Don't do it in my country. Do it on your own dime and somewhere else, not here. So please post in the comments and let me know if you can sway me, convince me, or open my eyes to some sensible argument of why it makes sense to flood the country with undocumented immigrants, illegals, that we don't know the backgrounds of, and then pay for them to be here. And then scratch our heads wondering when we have spikes in crime. Tell me how that's racist. Sway me. I'm waiting for it. I'd love to hear it. I would absolutely love to hear it. So this is podcast number 2. Done. And it's a thinker. So I'm going to do more of these. And if you enjoy my podcast format, let me know, because I'm going to talk about all the controversial subjects and not post a video, because there's a lot of Democrats get triggered when I post videos. And I'm still going to post videos too. But the podcast is going to be the way to go for these types of discussions. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Hit the like button. Do all that good stuff. And then we will see you on the next one. This is Carlton. I'm out.